What's up, everybody, and welcome to Picking Up the Crap, the March 2012 edition. I'm your host, the one and only Jodecideion, joined by my partner in crime, the Shooter.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Back again for another one.
Now I present to you the March 2012 NPD hardware sales. These numbers were gathered by members from NeoGAF. Your number one selling hardware home console is the Xbox 360, selling 371,000 systems, down 14.3%. Using PR math, we've gathered that the PS3 sold 337 systems, down 7.7%. Your number one selling handheld is the Nintendo 3DS, selling 225,000 systems, down 43.8% of last year's launch month. And finally, the Nintendo Wii selling 175,000 systems, down 39.7% from last year. There were no numbers for the PlayStation Vita, but according to a source, they they predict that the system sold somewhere around 200,000 systems. It did not beat the 3DS. Now, here are the top 10 best-selling games for the month of March. We don't have the full numbers of what they sold, so basically you guess between the numbers we currently have. The number one best-selling game was Mass Effect 3 across three platforms, selling 1.3 million copies. Number two, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City on two platforms, sold 582,000 systems. Number three, MLB 12 The Show, two systems. NBA 2012 across six systems. Number five, SSX 2012 across two systems. Number six, Street Fighter X Tekken across two systems. And then number seven, Mario Party 9 for the Nintendo Wii sold 230,000 copies. So we do know that 3 through 6 falls between 582,000 and 230,000. Number 8, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 across 4 platforms. Number 9, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja across 2 platforms. And number 10, Major League Baseball 2K12 across 7 platforms. On the other side of software, which would have been the top 10 if it was individual SKUs, Kid Icarus, launching last month, sold 135,000 copies within a matter of 5 to 7 days. So, after looking at the hardware sales for March, we've noticed, you know, thanks to Sony's PR department, we have no factual Vita numbers. March was the first full month that the Vita was on the market after its launch in late February. According to a person on NeoGAF, they suggested that the Vita sold somewhere above 200,000 copies, but nowhere more than the 225,000 that the 3DS sold. So we do know this, that the Vita in its first full month was outsold by the 3DS. Now the 3DS is, by $8 cheaper, but still, this is the first full month. So anybody who didn't buy it in the first week should have bought it in the following month, regardless of price. If you're a Vita fan, a Sony product fan, and you fell for the hype, you would have got bought. And so, seeing these numbers, even though we can't confirm them, it suggests that the demand, the pre-order hype of Vita wasn't as strong as people try to make it seem to believe. What do you think, Shooter?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Excuse me. Like you have again with it lacking that true hype or whatever with as far as the actual software lineup. It makes it a lot harder to get people to purchase it. I mean, you have your like I said, you do have your initial hype. There's always going to be your initial headlines. I mean, we've seen it on the news and everything else. But it's just without that compelling software to really push it, it's almost impossible to really get it. To a point where you're gonna get some good solid numbers. in comparison to the 3DS, you think of, well, you think of how again, it had some kind of software, had some things to try to push it, and as a result, you still had some good numbers even with that price tag. But you look at Vita at that same, at least for the regular Wi-Fi version, at that same price tag, it was lacking that. So it's definite that something like this was more like it was going to happen.
So on the software side of things, last month the only game that released during the month of March that actually sold like a major release was Mass Effect 3, selling combined on three platforms 1.3 million. According to the NPD, it sold 4-1 Xbox to PS3. So of course, Mass Effect 3 is a Microsoft and Xbox type game. It's a game that those users buy. Um, and while 1.3 is great, I wonder how long it's going to last with the whole backlash of the ending. I wonder will word of mouth have effect on future sales. Still, in that month, there were other games that released for the first time, and all those games greatly underperformed. For instance, the second best-selling game, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, despite it being more of an action game, still on two systems it only sells half a million on two platforms. And we're talking about the PS3 and Xbox that have at least, you know, anywhere from 15 to 20 million user base in the United States. Then on the same platforms, Street Fighter vs. Tekken. This is a game they've been pushing for a while now, promoting it. It's the next big thing. It's sold anywhere above 230,000 copies on two systems. I don't have the exact numbers, but we do know it was above Mario Party 9. This is another game selling only 230,000 copies on the Wii. It's the only game to be released on the Wii in a while. It's a Mario Party game. They usually sell extremely well. Mario Party 8 that came out like 4 years ago has sold like 6 million worldwide. And so this game, it pretty much bombed like everything else released, last month. Another game, the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja series that's on two systems. It sold under 230,000 copies in its release month. So Shooter, we've been saying this for a while now. It greatly seems like people are not buying games. Now, with Mario Party 9, I can kind of say, okay, look, people are not buying Wii's. People are ready for the new Wii U, and they're buying 3DS games. So that's why maybe Mario Party 9 didn't get any love. You can say that either way. It's like 30 million Wii's in the United States. You should better get at least almost a million people buying that game on the first day. You know what I'm saying? You should. So there's no excuse. But with the Wii, you do know people are ready for the Wii U. There won't be a
Hmm.
PS4 and a 720 until next year. So why are these people not buying Resident Evil? Why they're not buying Street Fighter vs. Tekken? Why they're not buying Naruto Shippuden? Why they're not buying these games?
With the exception of Naruto, I mean, of course, I mean, this is what the third installment in this particular series,
Right.
and we know it's a pretty established series, whatever. And of course, now I'm not going to try to come off biased because I love Naruto, but but I mean, I just be honest with you, it's just a lot of things. It's getting to the point where I really honestly feel that it's things are reaching a certain saturation point. As far as definitely, I could definitely say that for your Resident Evil and your Mass Effects. Now, I mean, your Mass Effect was pretty anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
However, like you said, that fallout with the ending, and then of course the whole DLC debacle. Um, I could say that definitely left a lot disappointed. Resident Evil, Raccoon City, on the other hand, that was that got reviews, pretty slim to nothing reviews, if you can say. But I honestly, just to be quite honest, I feel that people are seeing a saturation point, and that yes, even though the next two consoles aren't due till next year, they honestly, well, I'll say this, at least on the Microsoft side, they're without a doubt ready, for some kind of, something new and something different. I'm sure as far as console and, well, definitely game, because you can't, or software, because you can't play your console without software. But I see Once again, I see a definite saturation point here with with the type of games that they're pushing out so far.
So now we have our picking up the crap topic of the month. A article coming from the site Opposing Thumbs, uh, analyst from a analyst, if you want to say, basically just a fool saying some stuff. That's how I look at it. Basically, it's the reason I do this show. I do this series because there's people getting paid millions of dollars to basically tell lies. While I'm doing this for free on YouTube for views. Pay me. Pay the shooter. You know what I'm saying? Basically. But according to this article that they did get information from analysts, the current decline in gaming in the industry has nothing to do with basically the industry overall. It's that Nintendo is finally dying out with the Wii and Wii software, and that's the reason for all the decline, all the problems. Why everything looks so bleak each month. While I do agree that the Wii, DS, and the software does have a part in the decline, it still doesn't explain why games are not being bought by gamers on the HD consoles. This year so far, we've had major titles released, and they've all pretty much bombed. If you go by the standard of overall user base and how much they sell in a certain amount of time, a game like Mass Effect selling 1.3 million in its first month is regular. Is what they usually do. That's what big games and holidays do. So it's pretty much
Hmm.
consistent. But then games like Resident Evil, Operation Raccoon City, selling half a million on two systems. You know what I'm saying? Not just one, on two systems. You have the Street Fighter X Tekken selling a little bit more than 230,000 copies on two systems. That's horrible. Before then, you had the Twisted Metal that came out, a PS3 exclusive. That bombed out the gate. And don't get me wrong, there's bomb on the Wii side too. The Mario Party 9 is a bomb. Um, what came out recently on the Wii earlier this year? That's also kind of bombed out the gate. I can't really remember exactly, but there have been a couple of little games they've dropped that haven't sold spectacularly well. And
Hmm.
so, if you you can blame Nintendo. You can blame Nintendo if you were giving them credit for saving the industry, and that's the whole problem. During the time when the Wii was selling at a rate that was better than the PS2, and when remember the PS2 dominated the industry for like 10 years during the last generation.
Hmm.
The Wii was selling at a rate better than that. It was selling software better than that. The Wii wasn't getting any credit for that. And now that the Wii is now selling what could be considered average numbers, what's currently been going on this full generation, now it's seen as a problem. Basically, the Wii is suffering from what you can say the PS3 has suffered from expectations of what it did of the predecessor. The
Hmm.
PS3, if it wasn't a PS3, it would be a successful system. But because it's a PS3 coming off of the PS1 and PS2, it's a failure, a massive failure. And so the Wii going from selling 16, 20 million systems in 1 year, and then the next year you're only selling 10, yeah, that's going to be a decline, and that's going to seem like something's wrong with you. But we know the Wii's problem. They're getting ready for Wii U. They're not bringing out any major titles for it. They're not promoting any of the old stuff. And at this point, if you play one Wii game, you play them all. Because you got all your Nintendo products, you bought that, and anything, all the casual games that are now successful, people they run their course. You can look at the casual market that consists of your party games, your dancing games, and at one time Guitar Hero. Look at it now. The Guitar Hero rock band genre is pretty much dead. Your exercise genre is nowhere near as big on Connect and Move as it was on the Wii. And then your casual party game, family type game, those games are not as successful on Connect and Move as they were on the Wii. And so Connect and Move are not filling the gap that the Wii has, lost. And then at the same time, you have the HD consoles themselves. Yeah, yes, the Xbox is selling hardware. Definitely, it's selling hardware, and the PS3 is selling a little bit better. But still, even the PS3 hasn't hit the point where it's a mainstream, must-buy product. It's still
Hmm.
selling way below what it should be selling. Well, all right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this month's pick up the crap. Hope to see you next month as we look at April's numbers. Uh, the second full month for Vita. Hopefully, games like Kid Icarus that launched late in March will have a great April. We'll definitely get those numbers, and then maybe see if the whole Operation Rainfall, Xenoblade, you know, exclusive GameStop Nintendo deal. See what they actually have an effect. See what people actually went out and put their money where their mouth is, and see if we can get that game in the top 10 of the NPD at least for 1 month. So for Pick Up the Crowd, this is your boy The One.
And this is the shooter. Thanks a lot for listening.
We'll see you next time. Take care.